Now, one thing you'll need to think about if you're looking at getting a Dexter is that for every cute munching front end, there's also an extremely productive rear end. And there's a lot of it too. This whole pile right here is just 5 months worth from 2 cows and their 2 baby calves right here. So what are you gonna do with all that stuff? This is where our cows spend most of their time in the winter. And so this is where all the manure gets set that we need to move out to the manure pile. We aren't real careful about our straw to manure ratio. So when it's really cold and they sleep in here all the time, we throw a lot more straw in for bedding. And when it's warm and they're outside most of the time, it's more manure than straw. This, unfortunately, is by far the smelliest part. When the milking wing of the barn was added in 1945, they installed this trench down the middle. While we don't have the volumes to really utilize it well, it does help as a more sanitary place to temporarily scrape the waste until we're ready to handle it in a week or so, as well as providing for an easy washout for the more fine stuff. Stage 2, we dump all of our manure into this little pile right outside the barn because it's one of the only accessible places during the winter. We leave it here until all the snow's done, and then cart it over to the main pile. The previous owner put sheet metal up along the wall, which helps a lot in 2 ways. First of all, it keeps the siding from rotting, and secondly, it gives me something to push against and slide up with a bucket of the tractor when I'm picking up loads. This manure has already been sitting here about 2 months, and you can see the interior of the pile is well on its way to decomposing. Now, this tractor does not have live hydraulics. It only has a trip bucket. But the bucket does have a bunch of holes for what used to be where the manure forks would go. Unfortunately, those did not stay with the tractor, and the steel is way too expensive to make it worth it to buy, but it sure would be helpful. And here's where it ends up. This stuff was set out last summer, so it's been sitting for about 8 months now, and this is just from that pile now. So it's about 2 or 3 months old. Manure piles are supposed to be composted at a specific percent moisture and supposed to be fluffed every once in a while to make sure that air gets in there. We haven't done either. We just threw it out here and left it be, and it's worked all right. In the hottest parts of summer, which are extremely dry, it seemed that the decomposition stopped pretty well. But in the spring and the fall, we got it down to this, and I think it's good enough. Well, they look similar on the outside. If you cut into the old pile just a few inches, it's this great compost underneath. I think this is what we're aiming for, and this is what we'll be spreading with our 1920s manure spreader now. Go ahead and click this link to watch our Minneapolis Moline manure spreader get all this prepared compost onto the fields.